Hi.
Oh, we're recording.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to start.
Yeah,
I was
just,
like,
just
let's
go for it. Hi everyone, my name is Savannah.
This is Alice.
This is Alice.
Me.
And we're here today to talk about SOCA Week 2, which was World Hunger in an Era of Plenty. Yes.
A depressing week.
Yeah.
I will confess.
Yeah, a series of depressing weeks really. But yeah, even reading through the questions that we wanted to answer today, we were looking at the prevailing worldview of hunger as being scarcity, and we thought we'd address that. And yeah, do we think scarcity is the issue?
No,
we
do not. Definitely all the evidence supports issues of maldistribution of food, and we know that we have excess because it's estimated that 1/3 of the food that's produced for human consumption, so that's not even including food grown to feed animals, is just for human consumption, is wasted.
Yeah, that's sickening.
It's disgusting.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, just think about how much food waste must be coming out of like developed countries with such an excess. And
it's hard to even conceptualize that. It's just a statistic. You're like, oh, 1/3, but imagine 1/3 of all the food just straight into landfill. It's inconceivable, really. Yeah. You had a quote that
I do have a bit of a quote. So I've got this book. It's called The End of Plenty. So an apt title, considering the title of this week's lecture. And it's basically covers the history of like food systems and like agriculture. It touches a lot on like the Green Revolution and all that kind of stuff. But there was a quote, it's a bit long, bear with me, that has really stuck with me from when I read it, and I thought I would share it with you guys.
Yes, do.
So it goes like this. The food riots in Haiti in 2008 revealed the pitfalls of relying on free trade to provide a poor nation with its staple grain. Haiti had been self-sufficient in rice as late as the mid-1980s. But in 1994, when President Bill Clinton restored ousted President Jean-Bertrand Aristide to power, he requested that Aristide drop Haiti's protective tariffs on imported rice. The country was soon flooded with cheap Miami rice from the United States, a crop that is heavily subsidized and grown in just a few states, including Clinton's home state of Arkansas. The imports destroyed local rice production. Haiti's small farmers simply couldn't compete and left the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere at the mercy of the international grain market. From then on, Haiti imported the bulk of its rice from the United States, while the US Agency for International Development, USAID, tried to help Haiti's farmers grow cash crops like coffee and mangoes to sell back to American shoppers. US diplomats defended the policy even as Haitians were rioting in the streets and filling their children's stomachs with cookies made from butter, salt and dirt. 2 years after the riots, former President Clinton, now a UN Special Envoy to Haiti, publicly apologised for the rice policy that had done so much harm to Haiti's people, as well as to the impact of decades of agricultural trade liberalisation on poor countries around the globe. It has not worked, Clinton said bluntly. It may have been good for some of my farmers in Arkansas, but it has not worked. It was a mistake. I have to live every day with the consequences of the lost capacity to produce a rice crop in Haiti to feed those people because of what I did, and nobody else. And it's failed everywhere it's been tried. You just can't take the food chain out of production. So I was a bit of a heavy hitter.
It's tragic.
Yeah, I probably read that 2 years ago, and it's something that I think about a lot when I think about like food and world hunger.
It's a very real illustration of the power imbalances and how it can affect like a country like Haiti. And
we did kind of touch on it. We've been doing these videos in reverse, but when we touched on quinoa in week 12,
South America,
and there was really similar stuff coming out about how the demand in Western countries for quinoa actually drove the price of it so high in countries where it was a staple grain in South America that people who relied on it, locals who relied on it for their diet,
couldn't afford it,
were unable to afford a staple grain. Because of
and
us.
so it was suggested then in the textbook that to fix this, the priority needs to be food as a human right. And it's not at all about the money and
The free market.
Yeah, exactly. So, in the textbook, LePay's chapter on world hunger, he talked about this international movement called La Via Campesina, is how I imagine it's pronounced. And it's really aiming and seeking to achieve food sovereignty globally, and it's focusing on those smaller nations who struggle. Producing food and resources domestically is really the focus for the people, by the people. It's my flatmate Kate.
Get guest appearance.
Yeah. And so to establish farming within these nations, we need to keep farming happening for the farmers there and not to be then exported out. It needs to be the business that they can maintain and also affordable for the people in those countries.
Yeah.
And so, the textbook talked about how Mali has now made it like a public policy for them to achieve national food sovereignty. That was established in 2006. So that's really at least awesome to hear about that.
Yeah, I really like that idea of food sovereignty and making countries... having them be able to be reliant on their own produce as opposed to being reliant on like an international food market. And we've seen that with all like the food rioting. It
does not work.
Like the bread riots in Egypt and like everything when other countries have bad crop years and they don't get a good yield, they then just purchase more grain from other countries that don't necessarily have the excess to give
available.
Because they've got people who are starving in their own countries, but that food isn't going to them.
Exactly. Well, to wrap this up, I'm going to finish as well with a quote from LePay in the textbook, who said, "Put most simply, the root cause of hunger is not the scarcity of food, but scarcity of democracy." That's a wrap. Like, comment, and subscribe.